During the medieval period in the Middle East, the Islamic Holy Land is threatened by chaos, caused in part due to the Crusades. It is host to a power struggle between Muslim natives and invading Christians. To resolve this conflict and unite those of Islamic faith, one man establishes the Order of the Hashashin, referred to today as the Assassin Order. They strategically and stealthily murder sultans, kings, and authorities of any kind who bring harm to their way of life. The Hashashin succeed in reigning over Islam for over 130 years before they were ultimately wiped out. Their leader, titled Old Man of the Mountain, or Hassan-i Sabbah, is the first of 19 leaders of the Hashashin. Thus, he is the first Hassan, later known as King Hassan, one who shall be the first and last Old Man of the Mountain. He establishes a headquarters for the order in a fortress, Alamut, located in northwestern Persia. Despite being the group's leader, King Hassan's identity is hidden, and those that verify his existence do not live to tell the tale. In other words, he leads the order, concealing himself from them just as much as they conceal themselves from their targets. He cannot lead them forever, and has no intention to. Rather, he aims to observe the order from the shadows, ensuring neither it nor its leaders stray from their righteous accordance to the doctrine of Allah. Should any succeeding Old Men of the Mountain bend to human sin, he will come for their heads. He is king, not of the order, but of the Hassans to come after him. In order to assassinate other assassins, he declines secretive tactics in favor of battle with a greatsword, for no one who witnesses him or his skull mask can escape the encounter alive. There is no need for fancy tactics. He will not lose. He will erase all who lay eyes upon him. King Hassan is straightforward and stern, refusing to be disrespected. This isn't to say he lacks heart, however. Rather, his faith is stoic and unshaking, prioritizing the doctrines of the order above all else. He will not allow his successors to stray from their given path, to abandon their mission, or rely on the strength of others. With the eyes of his skull mask ever shining, he lays down God's law with resolve. His faith discerns that death is not the end of life, as dying merely brings salvation to one's soul. When a new candidate inherits the title of Hassan, they do so only after discarding their identity, their name, and their phase, in order to carry on as a wraith. As weaker spirits, the Old Men of the Mountain modify their own bodies to be able to perform special assassination techniques, named Zabaniya, based upon shaitan demons and the angels that guard hell. While these abilities can be used to name their respective owners, the Hassan conceal their talents under the universal term Zabaniya, should they ever find themselves fighting to remain leader of the order. The Order of Assassins are the origin for the term assassin itself, which is synonymous with the class used in Holy Grail wars. Because of this, despite not being proper heroic spirits, Hassan are oftentimes the only real candidates to fill the role as assassins, making them the most common and arguably weakest of all the war's servants. Following King Hassan, there are 18 others who discard their original lives to claim the title of Old Man of the Mountain. A short-statured Hassan, once present as a servant during Fuyuki's Third Holy Grail War, possesses the Zabaniya, cyber fantasy. Should he manage to touch his left hand to his opponent's head, it will cause their brain to turn to gunpowder and ignite. Another Hassan develops the Zabaniya febrile inspiration, fortifying their own skin to be as hard as Demon Realm crystal. There is a Hassan with the Zabaniya Ichor of Riviere, sounding a high-pitched song that disorients victims' brains and damages magic circuits. It is said that one Hassan possesses the Zabaniya meditative sensitivity, the enhancing of one's own senses. One Hassan develops the Zabaniya raving shadow flash, allowing them to use their own hair as thin, sharp blades. For some, only their title as Hassan is known, including Hassan of intoxicated smoke, Hassan of the quaking pipe, Hassan of shadow peeling, and Hassan of the Shining Star. That said, there are also some Hassan that are much more iconic. Hassan of the Cursed Arm is a leader once known as Hanam, a man who discards his identity to become Hassan. His Zabaniyya is delusional heartbeat, a skill that allows his demonic arm to create an illusion of his target's heart, and by crushing it between his fist, the damage will translate to his victim's real heart. In a version of Fuyuki's Fifth Holy Grail War, the decrepit mage Mato Zoken summons him as the war's true assassin, and gains his assistance in seeking immortality through the Grail's power. Hassan of Serenity is one of the Order's Visha Kanya, or Poison Girls, young women coated and infused with deadly poison as a means of assassination. While she appears to be a girl, to most, she is more accurately a mere lump of poison, who herself is immune to poison. Every part of her flesh is deadly, from her skin to her nails, bodily fluids, and mucus glands. Her method of murder is complex yet effective, as she seeks out men, builds intimate rapport with them, granting them a false happiness, before taking them to bed and poisoning them through carnal pleasures. She successfully murders many men this way, until drawing suspicion from a general who notices her refusal to do so much as hold hands. The general brings her life to an end through decapitation. Of course, her Zabaniyya is delusional poison body, her state that kills all who come into contact with her. As a servant, she can even corrode and destroy basic weapons by touching them. She has no control over the poison she transfers to others, making it impossible to spare their lives. While this is deadly to humans, Serenity is weak toward heroic spirits. Regardless, it seems she can kill nearly anyone and anything if she manages to kiss them 3 times. In a desperate maneuver, she can scatter her body over the battlefield, spreading her poisonous blood among both friend and foe to wipe out entire armies. In a version of the Holy Grail War, she is summoned by Seiji Jinga, who foolishly kisses her and dies. For a time, she exists independently. By consuming the souls of men she lures to their deaths. One of her victims is Tatsumi Kitano, who vowed to protect her despite knowing he would die from her poison. She develops feelings for him and continues in the war as a more righteous servant under a new master, Manaka. In this life, she can only be with her beloved after his body is resurrected as a dead apostle. She cannot love another without killing them. The 19th Hassan, Hassan of the 100 Faces, is different from the others. To achieve his Zabaniyya, he does not modify his own body. Rather, he makes use of his multiple personality disorder to hide his true identity. He is a master of disguise. As a noble phantasm, this allows him to exist as 80 separate bodies, a Zabaniyya known as delusional illusion. These alternate forms range from all different ages, statures, and sexes, creating a veritable army of assassins. In a version of Fuyuki's Fourth Holy Grail War, he is summoned by Kirei Kotomine, mainly to abuse his multiple bodies, to fool other masters into thinking he is the first to be defeated. Of all of his personalities, a female form, Asako, appears as the Face's leader. These are all but separate universes the assassins are summoned into, but one timeline in particular involves them more profoundly. The first Hassan, who presides over all these successors, receives special treatment, being designated by the world as a Grand Assassin, the highest rank a servant class can reach. Their role is to protect the world from evil, most commonly the evils of man, the beasts. Thus, King Hassan is summoned as a heroic spirit with a remarkably strong spirit graph, outranking all below him. During the incineration of humanity, he finds himself part of a singularity, distorted by the collision of Jerusalem and Egypt, where he resides in the holy shrine of Azrael during the age that Hanam, Hassan of the Cursed Arm, is the current leader. Cursed Arm is also accompanied by masterless servants summoned from the Singularity's Grail, namely 100-Face Hassan and Serenity. While these assassins are engaged in protecting their people in Jerusalem, King Hassan remains within the shrine. That is, until the Pharaoh King Ozymandias declares war on Jerusalem's mountain villages. Taking action, King Hassan both confronts and swiftly beheads the pharaoh. However, thanks to being in possession of a Holy Grail, Ozymandias survives, but nevertheless abandons his assault. In battle, King Hassan does not inflict damage through physical harm, but rather through severing fate with his sword, similar to the mystic eyes of death perception. In addition, he can conjure sandstorms with his experience in desert environments, and impose the concept of death onto immortal beings. For maneuverability, he is able to mask himself in blue flames to swiftly position himself in tactical points around his enemies. King Hassan is a man who walks the valley of the shadow of death, intimately knowing its ways and persevering through his faith. With this knowledge, he can impose death on any opponent with a single cut of his sword. This is his noble phantasm, Azrael, the angel that announces death. Over time, both Egypt and the assassin villages are dragged into conflict when the Lion King seizes the holy city and establishes it as Camelot. This struggle remains until the arrival of Chaldea's forces, Ritsuka Fujimaru and Mashu Kyrielite. After some initial conflict, Ritsuka befriends the assassins in the mountains, agreeing to work together in defeating the Lion King. They rescue Hassan of Serenity from Agravain's prison, and she is delighted to discover that Ritsuka Fujimaru happens to be immune to her poison. This is because of the Master's contract with Mashu, who is infused with the power of Sir Galahad, the purest knight. Finally, Serenity has found someone she can embrace without killing, so of course she is enamored. Fearing they lack the strength to defeat the Lion King, Ritsuka and Cursed Arm venture to the mountain shrine to request aid from King Hassan. After overcoming various trials, King Hassan agrees to help them in exchange for Cursed Arm's life. Only after Cursed Arm agrees to these terms, resolving to die to protect his people, does King Hassan spare him a special exemption due to the unique circumstances of the Singularity. To assist Ritsuka's party in their final assault, King Hassan blankets the skies in a dense sandstorm, which not only conceals them, but blocks out the sun, weakening the powers of Sir Gawain. Being one of the strongest knights, Gawain poses one of the biggest threats, and so King Hassan holds him off while Ritsuka infiltrates the holy city. Even after the sand dissipates, King Hassan is able to hold his own against Gawain, ultimately allowing the Singularity to be resolved. Later, in the following Singularity of Babylonia, King Hassan is summoned and spends his time disguised as an old man under the alias of Ziusundra, the man who endured the flood in Sumerian mythology. Inspired by Ritsuka's resolve, Hassan continues to observe Chaldea's efforts, questioning whether he should revoke his status as a grand servant to instead serve under Chaldea. When the party confronts Ereshkigal in the underworld, King Hassan, still in disguise, severs Ereshkigal's pact with the Three Goddess Alliance, allowing her to help in Ritsuka's fight against the beast Tiamat. Hassan continues to observe as Ritsuka's team succeeds in trapping Tiamat in the underworld beneath Uruk. When the beast attempts to flee with the help of her massive wings, King Hassan reveals himself and slices Tiamat's wings from her body, imposing upon her the concept of death. Because of him, the goddess can now be slain. He decides to renounce his title as a grand servant and participate in Ritsuka's battle. While he possesses his superior saint graph for the duration of the Singularity, King Hassan reverts to a standard assassin when summoned by Chaldea. While deadly and ominous, the old men of the mountain merely wish to preserve their way of life and are willing to assist in what they consider to be a righteous cause. They harness their demonically inspired powers for the sake of their loved ones and their faith. Even the most deadly of them all, the first and final Hassan, is capable of mercy and compassion, making him a valuable ally in undoing the incineration of humanity. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe to OtakuDaiKun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos, live streams, and the Holy Waifu Wars. If you're interested in seeing this channel grow, please consider becoming a patron or donating in a super chat during any of my weekly live streams. Also, feel free to check the description for my social media profiles, including an ever-growing Discord full of fans of anime and the Fate series. Until next time, celebrate your fandom.